All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the August 28th, 2023 edition of the Pre-Market Prep Session, our deluxe session, where we go over all the important news, notes, and information necessary to keeping you consistently profitable here across these markets. Monday is always our deluxe day because we go over the week ahead, right? Whenever you are preparing to go into battle, to go into a new job, as I know some of you are doing here this week. Congratulations on that. As you move to a new place, whenever you're looking to do something, right, in a realm that is changing, in a landscape that is changing, you have to check what the, kind of current circumstances are surrounding that arena, right, surrounding that area. And for right now, let me see, we'll switch this up so that the camera can get under control. And in terms of like preparing to go into something, the market's no different, right? So when we talk about whether or not you're sending troops into battle or you are, in sales and you're going to a meeting with a potential new client, or, no matter what it is that you're doing, when you're going into a landscape where the circumstances are changing, you've got to make sure you're aware of what those new circumstances are. So the market changes each and every week. There's new news, new opportunities, new things going on that you have to be aware of. And on Monday, we go over and we lay the landscape out for the week ahead, which is super, super important. If you come into the week expecting the market to rocket, and the market, actually has a lot of data coming out that week and it can do a lot of chopping, then the way that you handle yourself, right, and execute in markets is going to be vastly different than how you should have based off of what you should have expected from markets, right? So it's very important to go through, and we go through our week ahead newsletter, and then we also go over our Monday specific news. Very important to go through both of those things. So Monday is a huge day because Monday is where you lay the bones, right? They say the house, a house can't stand without good bones. You got to lay out the good bones for the foundation and the game plan for the week ahead. And that happens on Monday. So Monday is arguably the most important time to be here. So if you're here, congratulations on that. We're here to get 1% better as always. So make sure whether you're watching live or via replay that you drop your ones in the chat, signifying your intention to get 1% better. That's all we're looking to do, all we're trying to accomplish. So we can pretty easily do that just by being here. But also making sure that you're executing, right? Executing based off of this news that you get, this game plan that you devise, and not just kind of taking this information, sitting with it and saying, okay, nice, I've got this info and now I'm going to do nothing with it, right? That is the worst. You always want to take it, apply it, take it, apply it, take it, apply it. So without further ado, let's dive into what we've got for the week ahead, and then we'll dive into our Monday specific news. Okay, awesome. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Michelle, Coco, Vivian, Vanessa. Good morning, Luke. Good morning, Dylan. Good morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend, and I hope this camera can go ahead and get things cracking. It probably struggles too with the background lights because those transition, and this thing is probably struggling with staying on point with that. But to be honest, I'll just dive into the news. I'll worry about that if that ends up continuing to be an issue. I really think these webcams just have a vanity filter where if you have yourself on the screen, it blurs it out just to keep you humble. But the week ahead will include a major focus on economic releases, with the Fed's favorite inflation gauge and August jobs report both due to arrive. So we've got PCE data this week, and we've got the August jobs report this week. The hawkish tone from Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell was an indication that there won't be much slack in the battle to bring down inflation, while the jobs report on September 1 will be the last such release before the central bank's meeting on September 20th. The economic reports will arrive with Treasury yields on the march higher and futures trading pricing in roughly a 2/3 probability that the central bank will boost its key rate by a 1/4 percentage point in November after a pause in September. Meanwhile, the earnings calendar includes key reports from Salesforce, ticker CRM, Broadcom, ticker Avgo, and Lululemon, whose ticker is Lulu. Other items to watch include potential new regulations from the FDIC in mid-sized lending and the release by the Biden administration of the first 10 prescription drugs selected for Medicare price negotiations. Now, in terms of earnings here, we already talked about some of the big names. Monday, not really anyone important. Tuesday, we got Best Buy, right? Who's turned into a meme stock. What else? HP, NIO, JM Smucker, Wednesday, we get Salesforce, CrowdStrike, right, in Five Below. So some well-known names there. Crowd, we've traded before. Salesforce, we've traded before. And CRM has had some good action this year. So, I mean, we'll kind of see what they've got for us this week. But all of these are on the docket for possible post earnings plays, right? We love our post earnings strategy. It's paid us very nicely, right? Doesn't always work, but it works more often than not. And that's really all you can aim for in life, right? Nothing really always works. It just works more often than not. And that's what we got to base our execution off of. Now, in terms of Thursday, we've got Campbell's Soup, ticker CPB, Broadcom, whose ticker is AVGO, UBS, VMware, and Dell Technologies, and then Lululemon on Thursday. And we've got no one reporting on Friday. Let me see. Is the market open on Friday, or is it just, let me see. I'll check. I know it's closed on Monday because Monday is Labor Day, I believe. Let's see. Stock market holidays. I know regardless of if the market is open or not. Hello, Detrice. Good morning. Glad to have you here. Let's go ahead and, because I want to make sure that this thing isn't just blurry the whole time. Maybe we'll go with some, where were the bubbles? I know the bubbles worked fine. Animals, festivals, natural. But I was looking to see if, there we go. I was looking to see if we are closed on Friday or not. Good Friday, Memorial Day, Independence Day. Regardless of whether or not the market's open on Friday, I will not be trading on Friday. I'll be out of town. I'll be in Charleston, having a great time. So I won't be here trading this Friday, but Monday through Thursday we'll be locked in. Stock exchanges. Yeah, not seeing. Yeah, Labor Day, Monday, September 4th. So that's the only big thing. I guess there's just no earnings, no companies that are reporting earnings on Friday, but no holiday. So we'll be here. Market will be open, and you can trade if you'd like. I personally will not be out here ripping and running in these markets. In terms of events, Chinese EV sector, that coinciding with NIO reporting earnings, I don't think it's coincidence. Investors will be watching the Chinese electric vehicle sector closely this week with industry data due out. Chinese EV stocks have cooled off after a strong rally in July, due in part to concerns over the macroeconomic backdrop and high interest rates. Adding to the caution, another recent round of price cuts and promotions in broad China auto market could pressure margins even further in the back half of the year, warned Mizuho. The firm pointed to new price cuts from Geely, Hosan Auto, Great Wall Motor, Leap Motor, Volkswagen, and NIO. As has been widely reported, Tesla has fired off several rounds of price cuts in China during the summer in order to boost demand. Looking ahead, NIO will report earnings on August 29th to expectations for another quarterly loss, and the monthly deliveries report will arrive from major China EV players on September 1. So NIO will be, releasing their expectations. I have no idea what to expect out of NIO, but it's just something where after it has earnings and it moves, then we could look to apply our post earnings strategy onto NIO. But you guys know how it is. You know my take on earnings. I don't need to beat a dead horse. If you wouldn't flush it down the toilet, don't play it on earnings. It's how it always goes. China has been doing a lot. I'm pretty sure it will be covered in this morning's newsletter, so I won't spoil it. But let's see what else we got going on here. Anything else important for the week ahead? It's not looking like it within this newsletter. So I'm going to double check our market watch calendar, of course, and see what we have happening. So August 28th, nothing in terms of economic reports. That's nice, easy. Tuesday, we get consumer confidence at 10 a.m. That's something that will likely have some effect on markets. So Tuesday at 10 a.m. To 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, we get GDP data at 8:30, like a revision. We get ADP employment data at 8:15. So we get a few different pieces of data on Wednesday before market open. Thursday, we get initial jobless claims and PCE data. So Thursday is when we get that inflation data and initial jobless claims. So whatever you swing overnight, Wednesday to Thursday, is going to be, at risk, right? You got to factor in a little extra risk because we get this inflation data. To be honest, the markets haven't reacted as much to PCE data as they have CPI, which doesn't make as much sense because the Fed uses PCE, right, as its measure of inflation, not CPI. but still important to recognize that we have that data coming in on Thursday. And then Friday, non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate. So the unemployment rate could be important there. So nothing really on Monday, and Tuesday we got something at 10 a.m., but we really pick up as we get into Thursday and Friday. So we don't have an empty schedule, but we do have some data that's dropping that you want to keep an eye on, namely those jobless claims on Thursday and the PCE data, and then also unemployment rate on Friday. That will be important. So that's kind of when we talk about laying the groundwork. Do whatever you need to do, right? It does not matter what I do. It does not matter what, one person does over another. Tons of people have different things that they need to do in order to get their stuff done, right? Some mornings I struggle waking up, and you know what I do? I don't normally have one on me. I keep a little container of Mio, caffeinated Mio, on my nightstand. So if I struggle getting up, what do? I lean over, I grab that, I squirt a little bit in my mouth, and I chase it with water. A lot of people hear that and they're like, wow, that is like the most degenerate thing I've ever heard of. At the end of the day, I know that I need to get up. I need my morning routine. I want to wake up. I want to pray. I want to journal. I want to run, right? Sometimes I want to work out. I want to do things. And I know that if I sometimes don't lean on that, I'm not going to be able to get it done. Some people do coffee. Some people do this, that. That's my thing. There are people who can just wake up like David Goggins, right, and just crank out 30 miles and they don't even need to sniff caffeine. That's not me sometimes. So do whatever you need to do in order to make sure that you're aware of what's going on this week and you don't forget about it. So if you need to tell your favorite voice assistant to set a reminder on Wednesday at 3 p.m. that you've got PCE data coming out tomorrow, do that. If you want to put it in your iPhone calendar, if you have to put it in a sticky note, put it on your monitor. But if you continuously trip over the same things that you know are going to be there, it means you're not doing what you individually need to do in order to account for those things, right? So that's what I encourage everyone to do, because everyone is different. Some people can just wake up and crush the day. Some people need time, right? They move slowly. Some people need, this, some people need that. Whatever you need to do, don't look at somebody and say, hey, Johnny doesn't need to do this, so why should I need to do it? You and Johnny are not the same person, right? So whatever you need to do in order to make sure the stuff isn't falling through the cracks for you, make sure you get that done, right? And try different things. Don't just say, man, I keep forgetting about data and it's screwing my trades. And then you just keep doing that for years and years. And then you're like, you know what, trading sucks. No, do what you need to do in order to account for that. And then you're good, right? Throw a 3 in the chat if that makes sense for everybody. I just want to encourage and make sure that people don't feel discouraged because people see someone do something one way. It's like playing basketball. There's so many different ways to get that ball in the hoop, right? Figure out what works for you, but just get the ball in the hoop. So you don't want to look down on one way or another or say, I shouldn't have to do this. We do whatever we have to do. If you want that money, you do what you have to do to get it, right? And that's what it comes down to. Now, in terms of top news here, we're going to get into our Monday specific news. So labor rising, unions are in focus across the country as more workers threaten industrial action and strikes continue to impact entire industries. Joining the train in 2023 have been pilot associations at major airlines like American, AAL, Southwest, ticker LUV, the Teamsters Union at UPS, Workers United at Starbucks, and the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers at Spirit Aerosystems. Don't forget the damaging walkout that continues to plague Hollywood, with both writers and actors conducting a historic double strike. Throw a 4 in the chat if you remember me talking about strikes right over the course of the past 2 years and how those were going to continue to become abundant as we were seeing this shift in the employment landscape. It's something where, people are going to go on strike as inflation goes up, the cost of living goes up, and things change, right? AI has only gone to augment this trend. People are going to strike. They're going to say, hey, I'm not getting paid enough in order to actually survive in this world. Give me more money. What does that do? That makes the supply chain worse, right? It drives up the price of things that are already high, and it becomes this vicious cycle. So that's really what happens when you have inflation that's higher for longer. People go on strike. They're like, you don't pay me enough, I'm not working. And all that does is serve to push inflation back higher again. Now, in terms of the bigger picture, many workers feel compensation and conditions have worsened over the past 3 years, despite bumper corporate profits since the pandemic. Besides pay not keeping up, besides pay not keeping up with the rising cost of living, employees might see a moment of leverage in a tight labor market while big changes are threatening control of entire industries. Think EVs and autos or AI in the screenwriting process. A contagion effect is also rippling across sectors as employees see better working terms and pay hikes occur after companies come to the bargaining table, while new union leadership and younger members continue to push for stronger deals. The latest case in the spotlight is the United Auto Workers Union, which has landed approval from workers at Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis to strike if a new contract is not worked out before September 14th. A work stoppage by its 150,000 workers could result in an economic loss of more than $5 billion in just 10 days, according to the Anderson Economic Group, given current inventories and the manufacturing environment. Auto stocks have typically traded higher following, let me see here. Auto stocks have typically traded higher following resolution and contract ratification in the past, in what has typically been a recovery from aggressive sell-offs during the contract talks, but some car makers may be at more risk than others. In terms of outlook on the corporate side, businesses have decided to have to decide whether to dig in for the long haul, like Hollywood, or agree to new terms for their workers like UPS did. At issue are terms that may impact a company's bottom line and decrease competitiveness or limit powers to balance merit-based progress and employee motivation. On the other hand, better worker terms can give corporations access to a steady and well-trained labor force, as well as a sense of operational cost predictability and the ability to attract talent in a tight labor market. So we're really at a crazy breaking point, and this is coming sooner than I feel like a lot of people anticipated when it comes to AI, right? I feel like we thought like, oh, AI isn't going to like rapidly change the labor market this soon. It will be later, but that hasn't been the case at all, right? Right now we've got, people taking a stand as they should early in this process, because what you need to do is read the fine print, recognize what's happening, recognize when you're getting taken advantage of, right? And at this point, these actors and screenwriters, they're like, this is immediately impacting our jobs, right? This is immediately. So while they still have an impact, they're looking to utilize that leverage because they recognize that leverage will not last much longer, right? You've got not just ChatGPT, but multiple different AIs that can be used to literally replace these people, right? Both actors, and writers. So at this point, they're trying to use the last bit of leverage that they have, and they know that it hurts these companies. It definitely hurts me. I've got a number of films that I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for this. And now it's getting pushed back 2025, 2026, right? I'm just like, oh man, no, not my movies, right? But they've got to take advantage of the leverage that they have while they have it, because it is being eroded each and every day. So, I hope they get the rights that they deserve, and they can get back to making and filming movies. But I think that this is just it's kind of like a refocusing on one of the, kind of big eight that we have going on right now. Throw an 8 in the chat for the big eight. When we talk about all the different factors that are impacting how markets are moving, this makes a resurgence in that whole employment sector, right? Because employment had kind of faded off, wasn't as important when it came to like determining market movement and price action. But now it is, because all these different strikes and, all these companies mobilizing and organizing, it's going to impact, the bottom line. It's going to impact inflation, all of those things. So I think this will be something that's important to keep an eye on, with how long these things last, especially when it comes to stuff like logistics with UPS. In terms of global news, bilateral relations, U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo has become the third cabinet secretary to visit China this year after landing in the country for a trip that hopes to get the two sides talking again. Prior trips were made by Janet Yellen and Antony Blinken. Quote, of course, in matters of national security, there is no room to compromise or negotiate, Raimondo told Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao. Quote, and as you say, the vast majority of our trade and investment relationship does not involve national security concerns. Tightening restrictions on technology and advanced semiconductors have weighed on U.S. Sino tensions, but Beijing has also been struggling with an economic slowdown and worries about its property sector, with shares of China Evergrande tumbling around 80% in Hong Kong on Monday. Sheesh, that is crazy. And that's not even everything. Will they mention it in this? I don't even know if they mentioned it in this, but yeah, China also basically is introducing like a 50% cut like on taxes on investments like made in the stock market. So China is literally like on its last leg. Like they are just offering sales and this and that and the third. Like they are doing everything they can in order to save the economy, but it's giving desperation, right? It's giving desperation. You can't just say, "Oh man, well, I'm we're gonna cut this and we're gonna inject money into the economy. We're gonna lower interest rates. We're gonna do this." How bad are things that they feel the need to do all of these things? They're like, "Hey, we'd rather not get money from you in terms of the government with taxes than have you not put your money in markets. Like, please, please, please." Use your money, keep it in circulation. Like that is what China is doing at this point. Is they are begging, they're begging, and a lot of Chinese names are up as a result of that happening over the weekend. So because of course people were like, oh wow, you're gonna let me save all this money in taxes potentially by not having to pay on these investments. So you had a lot of different Chinese tickers here that are pushing higher. So that might be something worth a day trade look. As we get into the day, we can see that BABA looking a little interesting here. Potential hourly inverse head and shoulders on BABA. If it can kind of get above this 92 level. So BABA above 92 can be interesting. Something to keep an eye on there. BABA above 92. Again, it struggled with this 92 area in the past, but I definitely want to keep an eye on that. Going to set a little alert around 91.95. Let's see, BABA testing hourly inverse head and shoulders breakdown. Of course, China is still very risky, right? But at this point, if anything shows a nice day trade look, I'm down to snap at it. But I'm not looking to go crazy long China anytime soon. I think it's just crazy that they are struggling this badly that they need to make these types of promises in order to get people to invest and to try and save their economy. They're clearly down bad. In terms of manufacturing news, combat grade plugs. Let me check back in on the chat. All right, cool. So, combat grade plugs. 3M has reportedly agreed to a more than $5.5 billion settlement to resolve over 300,000 lawsuits claiming the company sold the U.S. military defective combat earplugs. Wow. 3M had argued the earplugs worked properly when soldiers were trained on how to use them, but veterans had sued subsidiary Aero Technologies, claiming that its foam earplugs were flawed and didn't protect them from damage to their hearing. The case is one of two big disputes that 3M has found itself in. The other is related to Forever Chemicals, with the potential for liabilities that analysts have estimated may cost the company billions of dollars. So, lawsuits coming to 3M, not a good look. In terms of healthcare news, Medicare negotiations, amid reports that the Biden administration is gearing up to announce the first 10 drugs that will be subject to Medicare price negotiations early this week. Wall Street analysts have come up with their own list of potential inclusions. The pricing negotiations, introduced as part of last year's Inflation Reduction Act, allowed the Department of Health and Human Services to bargain for Medicare Part D drugs for the first time in history, while revised prices for the first 10 drugs are unlikely to take effect until 2026. The impact will only grow afterward as the list of targeted drugs expands, with the program expected to save an estimated $98.5 billion for the U.S. healthcare system over 10 years. In terms of today's markets in Asia, Japan were up 1.8%, Hong Kong were up 0.9%, China were up 1.1%, India were up 0.2%. In Europe at midday, London, the markets closed, Paris, we're up 0.8%, Frankfurt up 0.5%, the Dow up 0.2%, S&P up 0.2%, NASDAQ up 0.3%. You see there, all of Asia is up big because of that move by China, and that's kind of bled into other markets. So that might end up causing us to pop short term as well with China's news. I mean, whenever you have, somebody saying, hey, we're going to just completely tax people, like literally cut the taxes on investing in the stock market by 50%, right? That tends to boost all markets because that's more money in circulation. So that is, it's bled into kind of overnight Europe markets, them during the day. China's up, not huge to be honest, but they are up, right? Again, China up 1.1%, Hong Kong up 0.9%, Japan up 1.8. So it definitely had an effect, as you can see the Chinese tickers like moving higher. So we'll look to see if we can, kind of take advantage of what we have going on there. In terms of crude oil, down 0.2%, gold up 0.1, Bitcoin down 0.4% to 25,950 bucks. What else is happening? We've got our rapid fire bullet point rundown to finish us up here. Horizon Therapeutics, ticker HZNP, Amgen trial withdrawn by the FTC. CDC advisors to meet September 12th to discuss new COVID shots. That's another thing. There's a new strain of COVID that's going around. And again, everybody has their different opinion on COVID. Some people are like, oh, it's the flu. Some people, are super serious about it. I'm not here to speak on that. All I'm here to speak on is that there's a new variant of COVID that is going around. A lot of people were saying that it is worse. That's not for me to speak on, but what is for me to speak on is the fact that they're looking to reinstitute some lockdown measures, which is important, right? When we talk about like the ramifications for different tickers, you can start looking at those same COVID tickers that did well when COVID was a thing, quote unquote, right? So when we talk, I hate even saying it because I feel like it gets flagged by algorithms and then like flagged for false information. So I hate even saying it. Maybe I'll just say the virus, but the virus is making its way back in the headlines, right? And it's something where, mask producers are on the rise. You might see a resurgence in, what is it in like Pfizer and Moderna, right? With people getting the shots again. So, Zoom is something that was struggling. Zoom might see some positive moves because we see COVID, kind of starting to resurge, or the virus starting to resurge. So that is just something that's important to keep on the radar, is that as of right now, a lot of different people are saying that we're going to get restrictions again. There are certain universities, certain private establishments that are now once again requiring masks. So we might have to run this whole circus back. No comment, but I'm just letting everyone know that that is what's happening. You've probably been seeing it in the news as well. So all I want to do is make sure that whatever's happening, right, regardless of your opinion, you're making sure that you're positioned when it comes to like your money and everything in order to, do what's best. So, we can see kind of lockdowns happen again, not to the extent, but we could see, mask stuff start to come back and all those different things. So that's just important to know. And maybe, doing some research, looking back into COVID tickers is something that's worth the time at this point, as we can see things start to research. I'm just looking at Moderna's chart right now, potential bull flag on the daily, right? Pfizer has been basing for a while. So just putting that seed out, right? Putting that seed out to take the time to kind of look back that way and see what we have going on. Throw a 5 in the chat if that makes sense for everybody. We want to make sure we're taking advantage of any and all opportunities, as well as just aware of what's coming, because this helps you in life. If you know, okay, X is coming, I can prepare by doing Y. Let's see here. Gran Turismo revs up while Barbie becomes year's top film. California judge rules Diablo Canyon nuclear plant can stay open. Angry oil industry sues U.S. over new Gulf auction rules. Databricks in discussions to raise funds at $43 billion valuation. It's been a tough month for crypto. Will it get even worse? Love and Shun. It's Love and Shun. What am I doing? Like all this China talk. Love and Shun. Hedge and mutual funds are rotating positions. Jabil, ticker JBL, to sell China mobility business in $2.2 billion deal. Xpeng, ticker XPEV, scoops up Didi's self-driving division. I think that's exciting. We've had a lot of Chinese ticker news this morning here, but I'm seeing a lot of fives. Awesome. I'm glad everybody kind of understands that, and we're all in this together, right? We're all searching for opportunities together, and it's a cohesive, holistic effort, right? We're all putting forth, oh, let me check out this chart. Oh, this looks good. Like maybe this has some opportunity, right? And then you execute based off of that. But I'm happy to be part of this team. Would not rather be anywhere else. That wraps us up for our first pre-market prep session of the week. Again, I won't be here Friday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's where I will be here. And we're looking to execute. But let's remain patient, right? Let's take everything with a grain of salt, execute where you need to. When it's time to get into a trade this high probability, make sure you're ready to do that. When it's time to take profit, make sure you're ready to do that. When it's time to cut if something is down, make sure you're ready to do that, right? Ask the questions that you need to ask. Closed mouths don't get fed, and just get ready to make it a great day, right? We've had a nice few weeks, and you want to continue that, but just make sure you withdraw profit, manage your risk, and have fun. Have fun along the way. This is fun as well, so make sure you're enjoying it. And let's make it a great day, right? Everybody have a great rest of your day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next session of the week. Have a good one.